Imagine you're 9 years old. You come home from school, your face is bleeding, your ribs hurt when you breathe. A group of boys picked you up and threw you down a concrete flight of stairs. Then they kicked you until you stopped moving. You drag yourself home, and your father, the one person who's supposed to protect you, looks at you and tells you it was your fault. That is where the story begins. It does not begin in Silicon Valley, a Harvard dorm room, or a rich kid fantasy. It begins with a bleeding kid in Pretoria, South Africa, who had no one in his corner. Years later, that same kid would become one of the most talked about builders in the world. This is the story of Elon Musk. Pretoria, South Africa, 1980s. His family was not poor. Ellen's father, Errol Musk, is an engineer. They have a big house, a cook, a cleaner. By South African standards, they are wealthy. But money doesn't buy you a good father. People who knew Errol describes him as controlling, cold, and pathologically brutal. Ellen has said in interviews, he was such a terrible human being. Not angry, not emotional when he says it, just matter of fact, like it's simply a truth he made peace with long ago. His parents divorced when he is 9. Most kids in that situation cling to the parent who is warmer, the safer one. Alan chooses to go live with his father. Why? Because he felt sorry for him. He thought Errol would be lonely. A 9-year-old choosing the harder home because he felt bad for his father. He would later call this decision one of the worst mistakes of his life. He says those years with his father left pathological scars he still carries today. But here is the thing about Elon Musk. He didn't drown in the house, he escaped into his mind. By age 8, he is reading encyclopedias cover to cover, not as homework, for fun. He finishes the entire Britannica encyclopedia set, then starts over. His cousin remembers him at family gatherings, just sitting in a corner, completely still, staring at nothing. They thought something was wrong with him, but he was not empty, his mind was somewhere else entirely. He was somewhere inside his own head, building ideas nobody around him could see yet. Ellen is 12 years old. His father buys a Commodore home computer. The manual says learning to code takes 6 months. Ellen completes it in 3 days. He is so hungry to learn that he cannot slow himself down to match the pace the rest of the world moves at. Within weeks, he has built a video game. He calls it Blastar, a simple space shooter game, nothing fancy. But he submits it to tech magazine called PC and Offline Technology, and they publish it and they pay him $500. He's 12 years old. He just made his first sale. At school, things are different. He's small, awkward, talks too much about things other kids don't even care about. He doesn't understand why people aren't as excited about rocket physics and science fiction as he is. He genuinely doesn't get it. The bullying gets worse every year. A group of boys develops a specific hatred for him. They follow him, corner him. The staircase incident hospitalizes him. He goes back to school with his face swollen shut. And here is what breaks your heart. He never really had a best friend during those years. The one person he was closest to was his brother Kimball. Two Musk boys in a cold house with an emotionally abusive father, reading books together and dreaming about leaving. At 17, Ilan decides he has had enough. He finds out what if you get to Canada? It's easier to eventually get into America, the place where the future is being built. He applies for a Canadian passport through his mother's side. It comes through. He buys a one way ticket. He packs a single bag and he leaves. He doesn't know it yet, but he is never really going back. He lands in Canada with $2,000. He has a cousin's phone number written on a piece of paper. He calls it. No answer. He calls again. No answer. He finds a youth hostel, pays for a bed, lies there on the first night in a country he doesn't know, with no job, no friends, and no plan. He is 17 years old. Most teenagers in this situation would call their parents and go home. Ellen starts looking for work the next morning. He picks vegetables on a farm. He shovels grain on a feed mill. He cleans out a boiler room in a lumber mill in a hazmat suit for $18 an hour. The boiler room job is the worst. You go in with a shovel, the heat is unbearable, you clean out toxic residue left on the walls. Most men quit within minutes. Alan lasts the whole shift. The foreman is impressed. He offers him a full time position at $18 per hour, a raise more than the other workers. Even at his lowest, he outworked everyone around him. He gets into Queen's University in Canada, starts making friends for the first time. There is a girl, Justine Wilson. He first notices her in a dorm hallway. She isn't interested. He finds out her favorite ice cream flavor and shows up at her door the next morning with two cones. She isn't home. He waits. She eventually comes back and finds him sitting there with melted ice cream running down his hands, still waiting. She thinks this guy is either crazy or the most determined person I've ever met. He transfers to the University of Pennsylvania, full scholarship, studying economics and physics simultaneously. Not because he has to, because he wants both. He and his roommate rent a 10-bedroom house and turns it into a nightclub on weekends, charging $5 an entry to cover the rent. Years before Twitter, he was already figuring out attention, crowds, and cash flow. Elon Musk is accepted into Stanford University for a PhD in energy physics. He defers his enrollment for 2 days because he has an idea he can't get out of his head. The internet is just becoming a thing, and nobody has figured out how to put city maps and business directories online. He calls his brother Kimball. I think this is better than the PhD. Kimball doesn't hesitate and says, let's do it. They start Zip2. The office is a single rented room. They cannot afford to pay rent and have an apartment. So the office is also their home. They sleep on the couch, they shower in the YMCA down the street. They have one computer between them. Either the website runs or someone browses the internet. Never both at the same time. Alan codes through the night. Most nights, nobody has to push him. He kept going because the work had grabbed him. He later describes this period as some of the happiest of his life. There was a little money, little comfort, and no security. But he was building something. At that stage, that was enough. Newspapers start licensing their software. Then more newspapers. Then media companies. The New York Times. 4 years after sleeping on a couch and showering at the YMCA, Compaq acquires Zip2 for $307 million. Ellen's personal cut $22 million. He is 27 years old. He gets a McLaren F1 supercar, one of the fastest production cars ever built. A camera crew films him taking delivery. He's so happy he can barely speak. He says, I wasn't sure I would be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment a few years ago. This is surreal. And then he immediately puts nearly all the money back into his next idea. He doesn't celebrate for long. He never does. His next company is X.com. The idea, an online bank. Send money to anyone, anywhere, instantly. The year is 1999. Most people did not take the idea seriously. The banking industry laughs at him. He launches anyway. X.com merges with a competitor called Confinity, which has a small product inside it called PayPal. What follows is a brutal fight for control. They waited until his plane took off. No Wi Fi, no cell service, completely isolated at 30,000 feet. Allen's own board of directors orchestrates a coup and removes him as CEO while he's in midair flying to his honeymoon. He lands, checks his phone, finds out he no longer runs his own company. Most people would sue or walk away or both. But Allen stays on as an advisor, keeps his shares, keeps his mouth shut. And in 2002, when eBay acquires PayPal for $1.5 billion, Allen walks away with $180 million. He's 31 years old. $180 million, he could have bought anything, a private island. He could retire forever. He could do almost anything he wants for the rest of his life and never work another day. Instead, he calls a meeting with his financial advisor and says something that makes the man think his client is about to do something reckless. I want to split it three-way: 100 millions into rockets, 70 million into electric cars, 10 million into solar energy. His advisor stares at him. Alan, all three of those industries have been tried, all three have failed. You will lose everything. Alan looks back at him. I know. I think the probability of success is low, but these things need to exist in the world. So somebody has to try. It might as well be me. 2004 to 2008, these were the years that almost ended everything. It's easy to summarize this period, but the details matter. Tesla. Elon joins a small electric car startup as chairman and the lead investor. The auto industry, Ford, GM, Toyota, every analyst on Wall Street says electric cars are a dead end. Batteries are too heavy, range is too short. Nobody wants them. They will fail. The Tesla Roadster development is a disaster behind closed doors. Cost spiral, deadlines are missed. The original CEO is pushed out and Ellen takes over. He is now personally responsible for a car company that has never sold a single car. SpaceX, meanwhile, his rocket company is trying to do something that has only ever been done by governments with billions in funding. First launch, explosion. Second launch, explosion. Third launch, explosion. Each explosion costs tens of millions of dollars. Each explosion is covered by the press as proof that this is a vanity project by a tech millionaire who has no idea what he's doing. The engineers at NASA, people who have built rockets their entire careers, some of them are privately saying, "We told him so." The global financial crisis hits. The world economy collapses. Tesla is 3 weeks from bankruptcy. SpaceX has money for exactly one more launch. Just one. It's 2008. His marriage is ending, his companies are dying, his money is almost gone. He gives a rare emotional interview and cannot finish his sentences. He is publicly crying. This man, who will one day stand on a stage and announce that humanity is going to Mars, is sitting in a chair unable to breathe because everything he's built is about to disappear. He later says, "I was waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning in physical pain from stress. Not metaphorical pain, physical pain, like something was crushing my chest." It's September 28, 2008, a small island in the Pacific Ocean. The SpaceX team has been living on this island for weeks, sleeping in tents, eating whatever they can get shipped in. They have done this 3 times before. 3 times they watched their rockets explode. 3 times they went back to the mainland and started over. This is the fourth time. There is no fifth time. There is no more money. If this rocket explodes, SpaceX is over. Tesla is probably over, and Elon Musk, the man who left South Africa at 17 with $2,000, goes back to zero. The countdown begins. The team is silent. Ellen is watching the feed from a laptop thousands of miles away. 3, 2, 1, ignition. The Falcon 1 rises off the launch pad. It clears the tower. It keeps climbing. Stage 1 separation, clean. The second stage fires and the rocket keeps going. It reaches orbit. For the first time in human history, a privately funded, privately built rocket has made it to orbit. 6 weeks later, NASA awards SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract. 6 weeks, the company that was 6 weeks from death just got a contract from the United States government. And Tesla scrapes together a last minute investment round that keeps the lights on. For once, the timing worked in his favor. The company survived. What happens next changes the expectation around cars and rockets. Tesla releases the Model S in 2012. It doesn't just succeed, it wins the Motor Trend Car of the Year, receives the highest safety rating ever recorded, changes the conversation about electric cars for good. Every major company on earth, Ford, GM, Volkswagen, BMW, begins emergency electric vehicle programs because of Tesla. SpaceX does something in 2015 that aerospace engineers had said for decades was physically impossible. They land a rocket booster back on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean, vertically upright and reusable. The cost of getting to space drops from a factor of 10, then 100. Elon announces the goal of SpaceX publicly. "I want to make humanity a multi-planetary species. I want a city on Mars. Not a base, a city. A self-sustaining civilization so that if something wipes out life on Earth, we are not gone." The press calls him crazy. The same press that called him crazy about electric cars. The same press that called him crazy about reusable rockets. In the years that followed, SpaceX valuation went sharply in private markets, approaching a staggering 800 billion on its own. He launched XAI to conquer the artificial intelligence landscape, and his personal wealth disconnected from reality. His net worth climbed past 400 billion, then 600 billion, before rocketing past 800 billion, putting him closer than anyone before to the $1 trillion mark. The kid who got beaten up and thrown downstairs in Pretoria became one of the richest people ever recorded. But here is what headlines didn't tell you: success at this scale has a price. Elon Musk has been married 3 times. He has been in and out of relationships publicly and messily. He has 11 children. He has said in interviews that he is not sure he is a great father, that he has missed too much, that work consumed in ways he sometimes regrets. He has spoken about not feeling normal, about his brain not working the way the other people's brains work. The difference between Elon Musk and the thousand other smart, driven people who had the same ideas and never made it was not only intelligence, money, or luck. It was the decision. At some point in that boiler room, in that youth hostel, on that island in the Pacific, waiting for a rocket to either fly or explode, that stopping was the only outcome he refused to accept. You're going to face moments in your life where every single signal around you says stop. Your bank account says stop, your body says stop, the people you love say stop, the experts say stop, the data says stop. Elon Musk looked at all those signals and he said, not yet. The boy who left South Africa with $2,000 and a one-way ticket and a bruised face and a broken family helped change the direction of cars, rockets, and the internet.